Welcome to Mojo Travels, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 destinations in Switzerland.
Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to Mojo Travels and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we're looking at towns and landmarks that make Switzerland one of Europe's most treasured destinations. Number 10. Chillon Castle. Europe is known for its dreamy castles, and Switzerland is home to some of the most enchanting. Chillon Castle, or Château de Chillon, may be the best. Of course, there's its medieval architecture, which served as inspiration for Prince Eric's castle in Disney's The Little Mermaid, and the view only adds to the fairy tale ambience. Facing Lake Geneva between Montreux and Villeneuve, Chillon has been cited as Switzerland's most visited historic monument, attracting throngs of spectators annually. It's also among Europe's most visited castles overall. Tourists can explore the courtyards, great halls and bedrooms, and Chillon provides a vantage point to gaze out at the mountains that's hard to compete with. Number 9. Jungfraujoch. Speaking of mountains, the Alpine ranges are undeniably among Switzerland's primary allures. In the Bernese Alps, few sites stick out with as much majesty than Jungfraujoch. We mean that almost literally, as Jungfraujoch is marketed as the top of Europe at an elevation of over 10,000 feet. While it's technically not the country's highest point, the Top of Europe complex near its peak does take tourism to new elevations with the Ice Palace, Glacier Plateau and various shops. The area also encompasses Europe's highest railway and post office. This mountain pass serves as a link between the Jungfrau and Munch mountains. Jungfraujoch is the place to be though, especially to gaze upon the Sphinx Observatory. Number 8. Lucerne. Located near the Swiss plateau's southern slope, Lucerne is surrounded by striking vistas, from the Swiss Alps to the Savoy Alps to Lake Geneva. Apart from the natural scenery, the main attraction is arguably the Olympic Museum. Recognised as the Olympic capital, Lucerne opened this museum in 1993, boasting over 10,000 items, some of which go back to the 19th century. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more impressive collection of Olympic relics in the world. And given its close proximity to the Alps, Lucerne isn't a bad place for seasoned skiers to train for the gold. If you're in the mood for something more laid back, Lucerne delivers. With great sights like the historic cathedral, the lakeside Uche Resort and the Old Town. Number 7. Lucerne. Central Switzerland's most populous city, Lucerne is as heavenly as urban playgrounds get. Lightly touched by the passage of time, the city features legendary landmarks like the Chapel Bridge, which was constructed from wood in the 14th century and rebuilt with love following a fire in the 1990s. You'll also want to pay tribute at the Lion Monument, which honours Swiss guards who gave up their lives in battle. To absorb as much of Lucerne as possible in one sitting, take the railway to the top of Mount Pilatus. At more than 5,000 feet, this massif overlooks Lucerne in all its glory. On the whole, Lucerne strikes the ideal balance between Europe's historic architecture and natural splendour. Number 6. Interlaken. Interlaken has everything one could desire in a summer paradise. Majestic mountains to hike, luxurious lakes to dive in, and an old-fashioned town that shows off Switzerland at its most aesthetically inviting. Haderkulm provides the most sweeping observation point, with views of Interlaken and Unterschen at more than 4,000 feet. Of course, paragliding is another exhilarating way to see the green hills. Interlaken is comfortably nestled between two refreshing spots to swim, Lake Thun and Lake Brienz. Or perhaps you'd prefer to see the turquoise waters aboard a boat. Cruising around the town, you'll be treated to welcoming landmarks like Schlosskirche and Rom-Katholische Kirchemin. The mild temperatures, which usually range between 65 to 82 Fahrenheit during the hotter months, add to the summer appeal. Number 5. Lugano. If you're torn between visiting Switzerland and Italy on your European vacation, Lugano's got you covered. You're inclined to cross paths with more Italian-speaking residents here than in most other Swiss towns. Outside of language, the Italian inspiration carries over to the food, quaint buildings and lakeshore views. The surrounding Lake Lugano and mountains like Monte San Salvatore make for one of the atmospheric settings in all of Switzerland. On a boat ride, you can get an especially exquisite gander at the village of Gandria. Venturing deeper into the town, you'll be drawn to meticulously constructed landmarks like Lugano Cathedral. The water is where you'll spend most of your trip though, whether cruising or lounging. Number 4. Zurich. Switzerland's largest city, Zurich is known for its banks and other financial offices. As such, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Zurich is one of the world's 3 most expensive cities to live in, along with Paris and Hong Kong. Walking down its streets, observing structures like the Grossmünster Church and Prime Tower, you can feel Zurich's wealthy aura. While you might not be able to afford a permanent residence or, say, a summer home, Zurich is the definition of a nice place to visit. It's also the definition of culture, with museums that host modern art and showcase Swiss history. The city is especially rich with waterside views, from Lake Zurich to Lindenhof Hill to the Limmat River. You can't put a price on these sights. Number 3. The Matterhorn. We're sure you're familiar with the Matterhorn bobsleds ride at Disneyland. While we can't guarantee that you'll encounter the abominable snowman at the actual Matterhorn, you'll be more than satisfied with the mountain itself. Bordering Switzerland and Italy, the Matterhorn is distinguished by its pyramid-like shape. At 14,692 feet, this mammoth mountain dominates all surrounding locales. With such a daunting presence, it makes sense that the Matterhorn was among the most well-known alpine mountains to be climbed. People are a little less intimidated nowadays, as almost 3,000 people ascend the Matterhorn annually. Zermatt Matterhorn is also a popular resort for skiing, snowboarding and other winter sports, although it's probably best to keep the bobsleds in Anaheim. Number 2. Geneva. If Lugano is the missing link between Switzerland and Italy, then we guess you could say that Geneva truly represents the country's French face. In Switzerland's second most populous city, more than 70% of Geneva's citizens live with French as their primary language. Geneva overflows with lakeside sights worthy of comparison to the French Riviera, although not quite as warm. The city is defined by Lake Geneva, with Jet d'Eau fountain serving as a beacon of inspiration. Geneva is just as renowned for its lush parks, most notably Jardin Anglais, where you can see the famed flower clock. Geneva may be mostly genteel, but it's got it going on in many ways. Before we get to our top pick, here are a few honourable mentions. The Rhine Falls, best experienced on a boat. St. Moritz, a resort town that's all about high living. Number 1. Bern. Switzerland's capital, or federal city, Bern is illustrious for many things. As the animal on its flag and coat of arms indicates, the Bärengroben Bear Pit is among the city's most unique attractions. While the bears give Bern its thunderous roar, the historic Old City supplies its beating heart. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, this central district features landmarks like the Zittglogger Clock Tower, the Bernemünster Cathedral, and more than 100 fountains. And there's more culture to soak up at Bern's various museums. The most recognisable of these is the Zentrum Paul Klee, which is distinguished by its wavy structure. Great cycling routes also make Bern one of the best places in Switzerland to experience bike riding. With beauty, bicycles, and, of course, bears, we're feeling the Bern alright.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Mojo Travels. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.